In early April 2026, Oracle announced it had just bought enough power to run 2 million homes. Not for customers, not for offices, not for employees. For AI data centers running continuously around the clock. The announcement sent Bloom Energy's stock up 22% in a single day. Not because Oracle made a smart business decision, but because investors understood what the deal confirmed. The AI race is no longer primarily a software competition. It is an energy competition. And the companies that lock in power before the grid runs out of capacity are the ones that survive the next phase. But here's what that deal means for everyone who is not Oracle. The AI revolution runs on electricity. Every single query processed by ChatGPT uses approximately 10 times more power than a standard Google search. A single large AI data center consumes as much electricity as 100,000 households running simultaneously, every second of every day. There are now more than 5,400 data centers across the United States alone. Together, they consume the equivalent of Pakistan's entire annual electricity demand in 2024. By 2030, that figure is projected to grow by 133%. According to Gartner, worldwide data center electricity consumption will rise from 448 terawatt-hours in 2025 to nearly 1,000 terawatt-hours by 2030. AI-optimized servers alone will see their power consumption grow nearly fivefold in the same period. By 2030, U.S. data centers will consume more electricity processing data than all of the country's energy-intensive manufacturing combined, including aluminum, steel, cement, and chemicals. The grid was not built for this. The U.S. power grid had essentially flat electricity demand from 2007 until AI arrived. Then in 2025, tech giants collectively spent an estimated $364 billion on data center construction. Utilities received 700 gigawatts of interconnection requests from data centers in 2025 alone. To put that in perspective, the entire United States only used 477 gigawatts in all of 2023. The backlog to connect a new project to the grid can take 2 to 3 years. The infrastructure that the AI industry needs does not exist yet, and building it is not optional. That is why companies like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google are no longer waiting for the public grid. They are building their own power on site. Microsoft restarted the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant. Amazon signed deals with nuclear facilities. Oracle bought fuel cell capacity for 2 million homes. The capital is not going into models or headcount. It is going into physical energy infrastructure. And that infrastructure has a cost that is not being paid only by the companies building it. In Virginia, the world's largest concentration of data centers, electricity demand is projected to rise 183% by 2040. Carnegie Mellon University projects that data centers could increase the average U.S. electricity bill by 8% by 2030, rising above 25% in the highest demand areas. But the AI revolution is not just running on electricity, it is running on household electricity bills. And the United States is not alone. In Ireland, data centers now consume 22% of the country's total electricity, more than all urban homes in the country combined. New U.S. AI data center projects could emit over 129 million tons of greenhouse gases annually according to a Wired investigation. To understand what that number means, it is roughly equivalent to the annual emissions of 30 million cars driving on the road simultaneously. At a moment when governments around the world are signing climate agreements, setting net zero targets, and asking households to reduce their carbon footprints, the infrastructure powering the AI revolution is moving in the opposite direction. The International Energy Agency has warned that the rapid expansion of data centers threatens to undo years of progress in reducing electricity sector emissions. The same technology companies that publish annual sustainability reports and pledge carbon neutrality by 2030 are simultaneously building fossil fuel power plants next to their server farms to keep those servers running. The contradiction is not hidden, it is just not in the headlines. Meta is quietly securing large-scale natural gas supply for its data centers, not for its models, not for its chips, for the fuel to keep its servers running 24 hours a day. About 56% of the electricity powering U.S. data centers currently comes from fossil fuels. But electricity is not the only resource being consumed at this scale. Water is the other cost that almost nobody is talking about. AI data centers require enormous quantities of water for cooling, to prevent the servers from overheating as they process billions of queries simultaneously. A single 1 megawatt data center can consume up to 25.5 million liters of water annually. U.S. data centers consumed approximately 17 billion gallons of water in 2023. with 84% of that consumed by the largest hyperscale facilities operated by companies like Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. By 2028, direct water consumption at hyperscale data centers alone is projected to reach between 16 billion and 33 billion gallons annually. In Georgia, regulators paused all new data center reviews in 2025, specifically over water usage concerns. In communities already dealing with drought, aging infrastructure, and rising utility costs, the arrival of a data center is not just an electricity problem, it is a water problem. And unlike electricity bills, which show up on a monthly statement, the water impact arrives more quietly, in falling reservoir levels, in strained municipal supplies, and in the slow realization that the AI revolution is being cooled by the same water that communities depend on for daily life. The communities living nearest to this infrastructure are starting to say no. More than 100 local communities across 12 states have already enacted local moratoriums on data center construction. At least 12 states have filed formal moratorium bills in the current 2026 legislative cycle. Denver announced a moratorium to reassess regulations. Maine's legislature passed what would have been the nation's first statewide moratorium on large data centers, citing electricity rate impacts and environmental concerns. U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez introduced federal legislation to halt all new AI data center construction nationally until Congress addresses the harm to consumers and the environment. The pushback is no longer local, it is legislative, and it is accelerating. Now, before we continue, in an earlier video, we covered the physical infrastructure bottleneck threatening the AI build-out, the transformer shortages, the data center delays, and the supply chain dependency on China. The link to that video is in the description below. You can watch it after this. For investors, the energy constraint is the story most AI coverage is missing entirely. The companies winning the next phase of the AI race are not necessarily the ones with the most advanced models. They are the ones who secured reliable, affordable energy before the grid became congested. Natural gas currently supplies more than 40% of U.S. data center power. Nuclear is being positioned as the long-term solution. The U.S. turbine market alone is projected to grow from $16.7 billion in 2023 to $30.4 billion by 2034. Every delay caused by community opposition, moratorium legislation, or grid interconnection backlogs is a direct threat to the AI infrastructure build-out timeline. And every $1 billion spent on energy infrastructure is $1 billion not spent on the models, the talent, or the products that investors are actually valuing. The question the next decade answers is not which company has the most powerful AI. It is which company owns the energy underneath it. Here are the questions worth sitting with. If the electricity powering the AI revolution is being partially subsidized by the households living near data centers, who decided that was a fair arrangement, and who is holding those companies accountable? If the grid cannot keep pace with AI demand, and governments across 12 states are already filing moratorium bills, what happens to the AI infrastructure build-out if those bills start passing? And if the companies winning the AI race are the ones that locked in energy before the constraint became obvious, what does that tell us about where the real value in the AI economy actually sits? We track the warning signs that move before the headlines do. If you want to see them before everyone else, hit the subscribe button now. And if you found this video helpful, like and share it with your friends. Thank you.